It's my personal belief that we should all be a jack of all trades, and that one of those trades should be making drinks, whether it's for yourself or for others. To that end, I think there are just some drinks that you should know by heart. And today I'm doing the 5 essential tequila cocktails that I think we should all know by heart. So let's start with the very most quintessential tequila cocktail, the margarita. I think a lot of people make this drink more complicated than it needs to be. I've seen people incorporate orange juice into it. I know that there is a version called the Tommy's Margarita, which is quite popular and famous, and it's honestly not something I've committed to memory. It is not the version that I know by heart. The version I know by heart is the classic margarita, which, where does it come from? That is a point of contention. Some people say that it comes from a hotel and or racetrack in Tijuana. I've heard a lot of different variations. Long story short, probably not named after a lady named Margarita. Probably Margarita is Spanish for daisy, and it's actually a tequila daisy. And I like my margaritas stupid simple, but I do like them salted. So I'm gonna start by salting the rim of my glass. If you are new, if this is like an introduction to mixology and cocktail making for you, you might think that the way to stick salt to the rim of a glass is with water, but that will not work. You actually need to use some kind of a citrus juice because the sugars that are there will dry it into a glue. I guess you could use simple syrup, but I've never seen that done, and I would never do that personally. The salt that I'm going to use is Malden Flake because it's the salt that was in my kitchen. I don't know how appropriate this is. I am gonna kind of crunch it up. One of the things I find is that with cocktail salt, I never want it either too coarse or too fine, and you kind of want it right in the middle, you know? I'm gonna take this glass, which today is a margarita glass, and I'm gonna do my utmost to rim this glass, although honestly, I'm looking at this glass, it might not be the easiest one to rim. It's working. Frequently on the show, you'll see that I only do a portion of the rim as opposed to doing the whole glass, and I think today I will do that as well, because I personally don't always want salt in every single sip of my drink. And if you do about half of the glass, like so, you always have that option while you take your margarita. You can drink from the salty side or the not so salty side. Anyway, we're gonna set that aside. That guy is ready for this drink. Now I need to actually make my drink. There are 3 ingredients in this cocktail. I said we were starting simple, I meant it. This is as simple as it gets. The first is 1 ounce of lime juice. Some recipes out there that you encounter might say juice of half a lime or juice of 1 lime. The truth of the matter is that limes are really unpredictable in how much lime juice they will surrender to you, and I would encourage you to measure. Now I need 1 ounce of an orange liqueur. I happen to like dry Curaçao for here. This is comparable to Grand Marnier, which is going to be a bit rounder and sweeter than something like Cointreau or Triple Sec, which is going to be, to my taste, less sweet to my mouth, less round, you know, that way. The thing is that so many people like to add a little bit of sweetness to a margarita. Well, if you just use the right orange liqueur, you won't need to do that. It's not that sweet, it's just a very small amount sweeter. Now I need 2 ounces of tequila. What tequila should I use? Well, actually, this Altos Silver, yeah, this is perfect right here. With tequila, I mean, I feel like increasingly this doesn't matter, but it should be 100% blue agave. It should be made in Mexico. There are tequilas on the market that are called mixtos. Honestly, at this point, I feel like you have to look for them. They will not be 100% blue agave. I would avoid them. That's really it. Otherwise, you know, everyone's gonna taste a little bit different, but they'll all be tequila. 2 ounces in my shaker. I'm gonna crack some ice into my shaker. Okay, and let's strain that into our glass. And there we have a really classic margarita. Honestly, know this one and venture out from here. That's my personal opinion. This is, to me, the most pure form of the margarita. It's the way I like them, and it's extremely refreshing, super delicious. And every time I have a margarita, I'm like, boy, this should really be in my cocktail rotation. When I'm off the show, I'm such a rum guy, but I love this drink. It's just that, you know, for me, I'm more of a rum guy, so I'm gonna reach for the daiquiri more often than not, but that is a banging margarita. The salt and lime and citrus are all just in such, they're all feeding on each other. They're all in such perfect tension. It is approachable without being overly sweet at all. It is sour without being aggressively, intimidatingly bracing. It doesn't really dry out your mouth or anything like that. The agave notes, there are vegetal agave notes in tequila, are not lost here, although they are not as loud as they would be in a neat pour of tequila, obviously. Margaritas are great. Margaritas are fantastic. I really like a good margarita, and this is a good margarita. That is the first drink in my list of the 5 tequila drinks I think you should know by heart. Since this episode is kind of framed as an essentials of mixology kind of an episode, it's possible that you are under the conception that the margarita is the most popular drink in Mexico, the drink of Mexico. It's actually a drink called the Paloma, which is traditionally made with tequila, lime juice, and either Jarritos or Squirt grapefruit soda. That's how they are made, as I understand it, in Mexico. I have not been, but that seems to be the way to do it. There's also like a Fresco style, and I want to show you both because I think they're both essential to know, and one is so quick and so easy. There's no reason not to do it. This is the kind of drink you build in the glass. And I'm gonna put my 2 big ice cubes of ice in there. I'm gonna get a lime, and you know, I said we have to measure for the margarita. Do you have to measure for this? I don't actually think you do. I'm just gonna put the juice of a whole lime in there, and whatever that works out to is fine. Then I want 2 ounces of tequila. Let's do with Espolon. A lot of people are gonna smack their foreheads and say, that's like top shelf stuff. I'm like, sure, why not? 2 ounce pour. I happen to have Squirt today. I'm gonna snake that guy down the side there. I'm gonna stop halfway. It's just my own personal thing. Give it a stir. And go the rest of the way. I don't think it's necessary, but if you want, you can garnish it with some mint. And I don't have a straw. Normally I would serve this with a straw, but I'm out of straws at the moment. So here's a Paloma as it is like, this is like the traditional way to make a Paloma. It's nice. It's nice. It's not very loud. It's a very muted drink. It's not aggressively grapefruit. I find that these sodas like Squirt and Jarritos are sweet and missing basically all of the bitterness of grapefruit, right? They have like the ideas, the conception of a grapefruit. And that to me is what's missing from this drink, because when you tell me it's a grapefruit soda tequila drink, I want it to taste like I'm biting into a grapefruit, right? That's it, on a hot day, this is fine. I'm gonna enjoy this a lot. But you can dress up a Paloma quite a bit from there by using some fresh juices. We're gonna do that right now. Since the fresh grapefruit Paloma is not like the classic presentation of the drink, I don't think that there's really an official version of this. I feel like I build them differently every single time I make one of these. And today will be no exception. I have this Sal con Gusano Agave Worm Salt that I bought forever ago for tasting mezcal, and I never get to use it, and today I'm gonna use it. There we go. Let's get some limes. No, this is a trend here with limes. I love this stuff. The salt is so smoky. It is got such like an aggressiveness to it. I really enjoy the way that this tastes, presents, everything about it. And it goes really good when you're tasting neat mezcals. Get lime juice on there. There we go. Now I'm going to shake this drink. I'm gonna set that aside. To my shaker, I will be adding 3/4 of an ounce of lime juice, 3/4 of an ounce of simple syrup, 1 ounce of fresh grapefruit juice. And if you're lucky, you can get fresh grapefruit juice straight from your local grocery store, and 1.5 ounces of tequila. Let's use Fortaleza Blanco for this one. I am a huge fan of this, and it's gonna be nice. Hands are a little wet. Makes working with the ice very difficult. I'm gonna get 1 big ice cube. Put that right in there. Strain this drink into the glass. Top this up with a bit of seltzer. And if I had a wedge of fresh grapefruit, I'd probably put it right on there, but I don't. So there you go. This is how I would personally like to make a Paloma when I'm having one. So much more fresh grapefruit tartness. And also, I didn't even go for it on my mouth that time, but like the smoky aroma from that Gusano salt, that Sal de Gusano worm salt, is so complimentary to this drink. I'm actually kind of really in love with it, and it was something I just did on a whim. Love this. Tart and bitter, but not at all overwhelming. Very mildly bitter. Sweet without being too sweet. Very light, very refreshing. It is, I think personally, just the right volume, just the right loudness between it being kind of a wispy cocktail and a really like a Negroni, which is like a sensory attack, you know what I mean? It's neither of those things. It's right down the middle. I like it better than one that's made with Squirt or Jarritos in every possible way. Here's the thing. As I said, I have made Palomas on the show a number of times in many different ways, and even I could not tell you all the different ways I've made it. I know that some people out there, and this is a huge honor to me, are using this show as their personal cocktail guide, but using YouTube as a cocktail guide when you're standing around with your friends and trying to make drinks in your kitchen or at your home bar is a nightmare. You go to YouTube, you go, Greg, how to drink Paloma, and then you don't know what video it is. You got to scrub through the video or look at the description. I know, I don't make it easy on you, but now I do. Oh wow, that was a crazy sales pitch. But now I do. So here's what's cool. I have created, and I'm very proud of this because I'm not a programmer and yet I created it, the HTD app. If you're noticing it right now, you log in with Patreon. So if you are a member of my Patreon, you will have access to the HTD app, which is imperfect, but not bad. Very good, and it does contain all the drinks I've ever made on the show. And if we go to drinks, and unfortunately all my filters are already set here, so this is gonna make it look like there's nothing in there. And I go Paloma, and hopefully everybody is working correctly today. Look, bitter Paloma, fresh Paloma, frozen Paloma, 5 versions of a regular Paloma, the Mezcal Paloma, and 2 versions of an anchovy Paloma. Actually, I prefer the carousel mode, so you can actually scroll through a little preview text there. And what's really cool, this is like a new thing that I just added. 5 versions of the Paloma. Well, if you go in there, see those dots? You can scrub right through every version I've made, and you can see which episode it's in. And there you go. Look at that. Drinks for right now. Paloma, just the original episode from years and years ago. 10 best drinks for spring, etc. Right? Isn't that fan? I think that's awesome. I'm very proud of that. I work on it like kind of all the time. Almost every week there's new features like this one, which is still kind of in testing, but check this out. Let's grab a bottle of tequila. Let's grab a lime, a squirt, some agave. Let's grab some Curaçao and this grapefruit juice. What the heck? Okay, I don't know if this is gonna show up in the camera or not, but if you notice there's like a little camera button here. This is a brand new feature. It's not fully realized yet. Take a picture of your ingredients. Okay, you see, use photo. With tequila, lime, agave nectar, grapefruit juice, and citrus soda like Squirt, you can make some refreshing cocktails. And of course, it sent me straight to a Paloma. But I'm still fine-tuning that and still testing that. And the goal with that isn't that. That's just kind of a proof of concept that we can recognize what's in your ingredient pool. The goal with that is actually ultimately to let you stock and maintain your own personal inventory of products without having to enter every one manually. Just a picture and you're done. You'll be able to go to a friend's house, boop, take a picture of what they've got on the counter and impress everybody with the drinks that you can make. Like this phenomenal Paloma. I'm not trying to give everybody the hard sell, but if that seems cool to you and our private Discord for patrons and exclusive behind the scenes content and additional bonus drinks and watching the show without ads, all of that or any of that seems appealing to you, check out the link in the comment below or up here in the corner. See if there's anything over at my Patreon that appeals to you. And if there's not, tell me what it is that you would want there to be. Or go to htdapp.com and sign up that way and get the app. I don't know if you've heard this going around or not, but revenue on YouTube hasn't been great for, I think, anybody. And without Patreon, I cannot do this show. This show is a full-time job for me and Meredith and freelance editors. It ceases to exist. So if you love the show, take a look, see if there's anything over there that catches your fancy. And if it does, thank you so much for becoming a member of our Patreon. To those of you who've been supporting the show this entire time, to those of you who are already patrons, this show is made possible by you. Thank you. Here's to you. All right, whenever I do one of these 5 drinks you gotta know by heart episodes, I like to make sure there's one tiki drink in there, and this is that. This is a drink called an El Diablo. It is a Trader Vic cocktail, and it starts with 1.5 ounces of Reposado tequila. I'll be using La Gretona. 1.5 ounces of La Gretona, or any Reposado tequila of your choice. Reposado, if I'm not mistaken, means rested, which is like a little bit of age, whereas Blanco is unaged, and Añejo, I don't know if there's an age minimum on that, so I'm not gonna speak any further on that, but it's aged. I need 1/2 ounce of creme de cassis. Yeah, I know, it's Hiram and Walker. It's not really the best stuff. It's actually gonna come up again in this episode too. I want 1/2 ounce of lime juice, and I need 3 ounces of ginger beer. Now, the thing of that is, I actually don't have any bottled ginger beer in my house at the moment, which was a bit of a surprise to me. I do have ginger syrup, and therefore I can just make some ginger beer in this glass. To do that, I'm going to do slightly less than 1/2 ounce of ginger syrup, which, by the way, I've made in another episode. It's actually Darcy O'Neill's procedure on making ginger syrup. It has changed my entire ginger syrup game. I did an ancient episode of ginger syrup 1,000 years ago by my in-laws pool, actually, that I'm not taking down because like it's just part of the library of how to drink episodes, but that's the way I would make it going forward. I did that in another episode as well. I forget which, but if you had the HTD app, you'd find it in a minute. So anyway, we're gonna make ginger syrup in this by adding seltzer to this when it's shook, okay? I've got that in there, now I'm gonna shake this up. Truth be told, if I was adhering to sort of tiki dogma, I would be using crushed ice and a spindle mixer, which is like a milkshake machine. But I'm not doing that. We don't need to strain this. I'm gonna dump this right into the glass I'm gonna drink it out of. I bought this for this episode. I forgot what it was called. It's like a Carlitos or something like that. There's a drink that calls for this specifically. But anyway, I'm just gonna dump that into the mug I wanna drink it out of. Top this up with some seltzer. Garnish this with a lime wheel and some fresh mint and a straw. And there we have it, Trader Vic El Diablo. That interplay between the ginger and the creme de cassis is so, I don't know, unusual. I've never experienced that in another cocktail. It's very enjoyable. The creme de cassis is this fruity, floral, sweet thing. It's syrupy almost, right? But then we're piercing it with this hot and spicy ginger syrup, the best ginger syrup. And the whole thing is, of course, enlivened and balanced by having the lime juice, and it's delivering all of that tequila goodness and refreshment. It's a really fun drink. It's a delight. It reminds me of a very excellent version of a rum runner, which is a drink you'll find on the street anywhere in Key West. A way better version of a rum runner. And I think that if you're gonna know sort of tequila essentials, you gotta have a tiki drink in there. This is that. I love Trader Vic. I also love the way this like particular thing looks. These are so much fun. Oh, it says it right on the bottom. A Cantaray, or a Cantarito, or a Cantaray. I'll put a link to these in the description and all around in the episode. I better slow down because I think I've got at least one more to go. Oh yeah, 2 more. Okay, so the next tequila cocktail I think you should know by heart is frankly barely a cocktail. It's a very simple thing to make. It's called ranch water. It is a staple of Texas, if I'm not mistaken. And part of me wants to say like the San Antonio area, but I don't really know much about Texas. I just know someone from San Antonio who tells me, Greg, you cannot not do ranch water. It's a vital thing. And I'm gonna put it in this glass, which I think has enough volume to hold this cocktail. This drink is so simple that I can barely even consider it a cocktail, but I was obligated to include it because you have to do ranch water. Therefore, this episode of the 5 tequila drinks you have to know is actually gonna have the 6 tequila drinks you have to know. Okay, put a little ice in there. Let's hit that with an ounce of fresh lime juice. Sooner or later, I'm gonna find an ounce in this lime. Limes, they are fickle. Are we getting a whole ounce yet? That's close enough. All right, 1 ounce of lime juice. You know, this drink calls usually for a Blanco or silver tequila, but what the heck, I got this La Gratona here. Let's use a Reposado, 1.5 ounces of that. And now, and I know this is a very complicated thing to do in a cocktail, we're going to add to it, and this is of course the hardest part and the very complicated. If you don't do it just right, it's gonna break the whole drink. I am being sarcastic. I know the internet can't tell sometimes. We're gonna add to it Topo Chico mineral water. Yes, Topo Chico mineral water. No other mineral water will do. It apparently is not ranch water if it's not Topo Chico mineral water. I just bought this bottle because I had bought a few bottles for the show specifically. They were sitting on my kitchen counter when my friend who was over said, oh, I will just grab that and drink it. And I said, God damn it, that was for the show. I gotta go buy more. And he said, you know, it's just carbonated water. Nothing, not for nothing, Topo Chico, but it is just carbonated water with some minerals in there, which generally speaking means salt and maybe a couple of other things. And so could you use any carbonated water to make a ranch water? No, because it wouldn't be ranch water. Man, that's great. It's a tequila Ricky when you get right down to it, and who's gonna object to that? Bracingly tart, limey. You can really taste the tequila in there in a way that's neither overpowering nor disappointing, which is wonderful. And it's a nice and bubbly light drink. I love a Ricky anymore. I think honestly, I'm done with Tom Collins's. I'm on the Ricky train all the way. And yeah, ranch water, fantastic. It's the Texas Ricky, you could call it, or the tequila Ricky. That is wonderful. I don't know if it matters which carbonated water you make it with, but no, officially Topo Chico. So we get a bonus drink in this episode, and some of you have been just about to furiously pounce on your keyboard in anger and say, but what about the tequila sunrise? That's gotta be an essential tequila drink. We gotta have a tequila sunrise. Where's the tequila sunrise? I want my tequila sunrise. You're gonna get it right now, but with a caveat. This is the original Tequila Sunrise, not the one from the 70s that is orange juice, tequila, and grenadine. Fine if you like it, but that's actually an imitation of the real cocktail. This drink will involve a shaker and some lime juice, not orange juice. Orange juice is, broadly speaking, not a great ingredient for mixology, right? It is under acidic and overly sweet, and so we're not gonna use orange juice here, and again, the original Tequila Sunrise doesn't. We're going to use lime juice. Increasingly in recent years, the trend with orange juice in cocktails has been to acid adjust it, which is where you add citric acid to it to bump it up to the acidity of about lime juice, which is like a pH of 2 or 3. Don't drink those cocktails, you will get too drunk. Don't drink those cocktails, you will get too drunk. Don't drink those cocktails, you will get too drunk. Don't drink those cocktails, you will get too drunk. Okay, I don't know what the pH is of orange juice off the top of my head, but it's not 2 or 3. It's gotta be 6, maybe a 5. As you go lower, it gets more acidic. But anyway, 1 ounce of lime juice, 1.5 ounces of Blanco tequila. We're going to use my Fortaleza again. And actually, we're just gonna shake that. Am I shaking nothing but tequila and lime juice? Yeah, I am. There's more, hold on. Get your glass out, get some ice in there. I'm going to strain this into my glass. The order of operations here is actually important. Now I'm going to add seltzer or club soda or carbonated water or Topo Chico, why not? Whatever you like, doubling the drink's volume and spilling some on the bar mat. And now I want to add 3/4 of an ounce of creme de cassis. And if I do this correctly, it's going to go right down the side and sit on the bottom of the drink in a way that looks like a sunrise. I will steal the straw I have in this beverage and insert it into the drink and maybe give it a little scrape, right, up and down. And that is the original Tequila Sunrise. It is tart without being overly tart. It is floral and berry-ish without being overly floral and berry-ish. It is agave herbaceousness without being too much. It's a very light, refreshing, and approachable drink, which is a common theme with tequila cocktails, you know? I like that so much better than an orange juice-based Tequila Sunrise. It's less sweet. It has more dynamics to its flavors. It is more refreshing, bracing. It's not heavy. It is a uplifting, bubbly, little light, lovely thing. Really, I adore this drink. I know I said that was the last drink, but out of my mouth popped Oaxaca Old Fashioned, and it occurs to me that this episode would be deeply incomplete without a Oaxaca Old Fashioned. So I guess my 5 essential tequila cocktails are actually 7 essential tequila cocktails. This is a modern classic. It was invented by bartender Phil Ward. It is built in a mixing glass. I need 1.5 ounces of reposado tequila. I'm going to use Fortaleza. It was an oversight on my part to not put it on the original list. This drink really needs to be in this episode for so many reasons. Not only is it a modern classic, but I needed a stirred drink for the episode. I need 1/2 ounce of mezcal. I'm going to use Mezcal Union and El Viejo. Mezcal and tequila are squares and rectangles of agave spirits. I need a bar spoon of agave syrup, and in this case, it's straight out of Whole Foods. My tastes run a little bit sweet, so I'm probably gonna run this as 2 bar spoons. And 2 dashes of Angostura bitters. There we go. We also had to get some Angostura representation in this episode, right? Let's get some ice. Okay, give that a stir. Good. Believe it or not, I wish I had a larger ice cube, but this will work for today. Strain that in there. What a beautiful color, that light pink. Pull a peel of orange. When you do that, you want to be right next to the glass because a lot of the oils come out when you cut it. Give it a twist. I think it's an old fashioned, so it goes right in there. And there you have it, a Oaxacan Old Fashioned. Whew! It's been a minute since I've had one of these. I love the way this one came out. It has, there's notes of chocolate. Oh my. That is a delight of a cocktail. That balance between the mezcal and the tequila is really here. And in fact, I grabbed this, I have a lot of mezcals and tequilas over there. I grabbed this Mezcal Union kind of at random, but I don't think I could have done better. It is a joy. There is, at that 1.5 to 1/2 ounce ratio, just enough smoke, just enough vegetalness, just enough of all of those separate components for you to be able to taste what happens when they interact. Because sometimes if it's too much of this, you don't taste any of that. Sometimes when it's too much of this, you don't taste any of that. But if you get the balance more or less right, there's this place where flavor synthesis is happening between those two things. And that's what I'm getting here. And I'm getting fresh cut grass, and I'm getting notes that are smoky that remind me personally of in Spaceship Earth when Rome is burning. I'm getting those chocolate notes that I just pointed out. God damn, that's a good drink. Oh, I'm taking this to dinner with me after I wrap this episode. This is my keeper. I'm obsessed with this cocktail at the moment, and I just made so many drinks that I have to wrap now because I am drunk and tired. There you have it, the apparently 7 tequila cocktails I feel like you should know by heart. I don't know, things got a little out of hand here. Let's set that guy up. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. If you love the show, check out the Patreon. And in the meantime, I will see you next week with another episode of HTD. Until then, I'm gonna grab this guy and say good night and good luck.